Got a new job for you, 621. I need you to go pick up my DoorDash.
If I had to describe Armored Core in one word, it would be game. If it had to be two words, video game. It's a celebration of the mecha genre that manages to be both a power fantasy stompfest and a crazy mechanically rich experience. Think Dynasty Warriors without the ambient. The eagle-eyed amongst you may have noticed the number 6 at the end of this one. That is because there have actually been 16 of these. The series has been around since 1997, which makes no sense because FromSoftware has only existed since 2011. Yeah, newsflash, bozo. Before Miyazaki was milking the dead horse, all FromSoft did was pump out jack-in-a-box looking ass mech games. Mirakumo, Silent Line, Metal Wolf Chaos.
Michael!
Richard! And nobody played them, but they all kicked ass. I think. I haven't played them. With Armored Core 6 now in my fingers, thanks to a copy provided by the extremely sexy and breedable Bandai Namco, I'm here to let you know that Jump Force was fucking awesome! And how to get started on this once impenetrable behemoth of a franchise. My name is PunkDuck, and this is Armored Core, the one that just came out. Armored Core 6 throws you quite literally into the middle of the action with no real explanation for who you are or why the control scheme is designed for spiders, and then caps it all off with arguably the third hardest boss in the game considering you're driving a mech straight out of 5 and below. In any other action game, this would have been a fight you're supposed to lose, but Armored Core does not fuck around. It's less of a difficulty curve and more of a difficulty hydrogen bomb. Obviously this might filter a lot of you, and clearly it did. But anyone that dropped the game at this point is missing out on one of the most mechanically rich experiences I've ever played. If I had a gun to my head, I'd say the Armored Core series is like if Ace Combat impregnated Vanquish and neither of them were willing to quit smoking. Or whatever. If you haven't played Ace Combat, it's a flight simcade melodrama, and if you haven't played Vanquish... Me neither. Each of the 50-ish missions boil down to being dropped into an active war zone and making it considerably more active. And depending on how far into it you are, it'll either cap off with a fade to black,
or a giant fucking worm? Oh my god!
621, the tracker just updated the food guide.
The combat itself is as cracked out as the pacing. You're constantly zooming around and dodging a million projectiles while you got 3 lazy bums sitting on their asses yippity-yapping into your fucking ear all day.
Got a new job for you, 621. Oh my god, this chicken is unbelievable. We just received the transmission that a rival corporation, Asus, is launching a new product. The ROG Ally X. Balam's been trying to get their hands on one of these for years. Rumor has it the upgraded model comes with 24 gigabytes of big RAM, an 80-watt-hour battery that lets you charge from 0 to 50% in just 30 minutes, and up to 1 terabyte of M.2 2280 upgradable storage. Top of the line tech. 621. Your mission is to click on the link in the description and get one while supplies last. Buy an LAX at rog.gg/PunkDuck.
By the way, it was me, PunkDuck, the whole time.
This might seem like a total clusterfuck. It is, but once you get your hands behind the hands, it's surprisingly nuanced. I shit you not when I say one of the key elements you need to master is finance management. Each bullet, missile, and drone you fire has an attached cost that'll affect both your mission ranking and your salary. So you might have cleared the mission under 20 seconds, but carpet bombing the Rubicon Strip ended up costing 200 grand. So here's your B rank, Mr. Kissinger. So far, so standard for the average armored warmonger experience. But what this game brings to the table is the new attitude control system. See, what it entails is, besides your standard AP bar, which stands for armored points, you have a secondary yellow bar that fills up as you take damage. And if it reaches the maximum threshold, you will be unable to move. It's a stamina bar, okay? Just call it a fucking stamina. This edition has been highly controversial, and you can probably see why. If I had a Zimmerman to my head, I'd say it makes Armored Core 6 play like if Monster Hunter had sex with Sekiro. And you know, I like Sekiro as much as the next guy, but it does mean that the weapon balance has been completely flushed down the fucking toilet. But I'm joking! I love my jokes! The multiplayer is PvP arena matches. There's no co-op and there's only like 2 game modes. But it does have that iconic Miyazaki netcode. Excuse me? Miyazaki didn't make this game, by the way. That is a completely different gentleman. I'm not racist. Now that you kinda get how the game is structured, it's time to build your big bad robot. And not the kind I shove up my ass. This is where my earlier Monster Hunter comparison starts to sound slightly less deranged. Because much like that series, if you don't like doing this shit, this game is not for you. And not unlike Monster Hunter, your fashion is a gigantic factor. I'm not exaggerating when I say this might be one of the best customization systems I've ever seen in a video game. The variety of stuff that you can make is absolutely unbelievable. I didn't make that one, by the way. I got that image off of Reddit. I am not racist. If you were a Bionicles kid growing up, this is a dream come true, and the possibilities are endless.
Like mid-range accurately with them, so it's like, why bother with machine guns?
Yeah.
Let's like these.
Hey, Peter.
Fuck off!
And if you find yourself struggling to come up with something, the game even accounts for that by letting you download builds and decals made by the community. The stuff you can find ranges from, wow, that's so cool, to, how did you come up with that, to, hey man, we're gonna tear all your limbs off your body. That's really where most of the appeal comes from. Armored Core lets you build the robot of your dreams, strap a small nation's military budget to it, and then watch it do its thing. War crimes, that thing is war crime. None of this should sound surprising if you're familiar with FromSoft's recent output, but unlike their recent output, you will spend 99% of your time dicking around with numbers. Whereas the average John Souls experience will have you knock out the entire game with your one trusty Drake sword, try that in Armored Core and you will get your ass humbled very fast. Well, you know, unless you're playing the latest patch. You guys like my shirt? There's a reason why the game lets you change your build at every checkpoint. Each mission is designed around being beaten with a very specific loadout that will counter whatever the game is throwing at you. And just like the fashion aspect, the mechanical side of the customization is just as varied. Each robot is comprised of 4 parts: the head, the chest, the arms, and the legs. Then you gotta pick your shoulder weapons and how many Zimmermans you wanna bring. And finally, you have to choose your targeting system, your operating system, and your booster pads. Your head affects your resistance to status effects, your chest will determine how effective your generator is, heavier arms can carry heavier equipment, and your legs are effectively your class. Split between bipedal legs, which are your traditional mech action, reverse joint legs, which allow you to jump much higher, spider legs can hover in the air for long periods of time, making them effective at long-range sniping, and tank legs are slow as dicks, but suffer no recoil from heavy ordnance. And mind you, each part of your robot has an assigned weight to it that will slowly tick away at your overall movement speed. Now, I'm a little bit autistic. Okay, maybe I'm a lot autistic, but this is way too much! Building an Armored Core is so overwhelming. You can never escape that nagging feeling that swapping out just one little part will fuck up your entire build. And if you think this is bad, hitting triangle will reveal all the stats that the game is hiding for your sake, and oh my god, it doesn't help that the naming convention is a complete fucking mess! Why is there so much jargon? What the fuck is the energy firearm spec? Or booster efficiency edge? Or firearm specialization? Oh, of course, it's accuracy, but not to be confused with recoil control, which is specifically ammo spread on automatic weapons, so you could have low recoil control on a weapon with high firearm specialization, which means you will still not land any of your shots. Just call it accuracy! Then there's attitude stability, not to be confused with the attitude control system. Just kidding, they both mean the same shit!
Why are the names there? Pop quiz, dickhead! What is melee specialization? Okay. If specialization is accuracy, it's how much tracking my melee attacks have? No, you fucking idiot! That one actually means melee damage! You think any of this shit makes sense? This is Armored Core, bitch! We clowning this motherfucker! Get your sensitive ass back to Hawking! I platinumed the game, and I still don't know what half this shit fucking means! And mind you, this is the most accessible this series has ever been! Do you want to see what Armored Core 4 Answers building screen looks like? Oh, yeah, this is so much better! Okay, if I swap out my L back unit, that should increase my PA attenuation, but then I also need to compensate with a new overred booster. Finally, if I trade this for this, okay, let's see what that looks like. Oh man, I made the horse again.
Six, two, one. My tummy hurts.
In spite of how nightmarish the logistics of building are, once you get used to it, Armored Core 6 feels like a dream to play. It's one of those games where it's so easy to get into the zone and extremely difficult to get out of it. It solidified itself as one of my favorite games of that year, maybe even of all time. But that's not to say that I don't have my fair share of niggles. And that's a real word! I'm not racist! First of all, the OS system kinda sucks and feels super tacked on. You can't edit any HUD elements at all. The community uploaded decals and loadouts are platform locked for some fucking reason. PvP has that iconic Miyazaki netcode. Also, the game is mission-based. Where is my open world?
No iframes? Are you for the real? Why can't I level adaptability? Hello? Waiter! More Ann Orlando, please!
If I had to describe Armored Core 6 in 3 words, it would be good video game, and definitely not Dark Souls. A major portion of its audience convinced themselves before buying it that it would play like a stamina action game and somehow missed the giant fucking robot on the cover. And all the trailers. It's also directed by a completely different dude. Also, the title's different. And there's a 6 at the end of it. This means 6 in Italian. Imagine if this was a video on Ace Attorney instead, and I started furiously emailing John Capcom that there's no fucking air juggling or how none of the women lay eggs. My best guess is this is partly because the past few times FromSoftware has put out a new IP, it's always been another one of these. And people saw this logo on the box and were disappointed when the game didn't match the expectations they had already set in their heads. But if you embrace how fucking dope and stupid this game is, I think this is one of their best releases since Bloodborne. I think. I haven't played. FromSoft at its worst is still better than 99% of the output of the AAA industry, and at its best, it's...
Jody, how's my schedule look for today?
You've got a conference and dinner party at the Japanese embassy regarding wildlife protection.
Oh yeah. Sorry, but I'll have to cancel that. I'm heading out to save America. Can you let them know I...
And if one developer has put out this many hitters, chances are it's gonna hit. Even if it's not Dark Souls.
You have got to be fucking kidding.
Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed looking at that as much as I enjoyed making it, and if you did, that makes one of us. As always, I'd love to thank my lovely producers, which include Carson, Daj, Foggy Boy, Caraldo, Death Before Retreat, and Minotaur, and also my amazing patrons, which include Adventurer Huggles, Aaron Kresge, Bloodspear, Daniel Johnson, Grim Narwhal, Jeffrey R., Linus Sextips, Oliver, Oris104, Richard Brimley, Sunyan, and Susanna. Thank you as always for your patience. I swear to God I'm going to be updating the page for all the rewards, but mainly, I'm just a fucking idiot, and I'm sorry. Once again, thanks for watching. I'm gonna go to bed. Goodbye. Next one might be Tekken or Dragon's Dogma. I don't fucking